We've got more Jordon Hudson, Bill Belichick news.
Oh yeah,
today.
There's a scathing story and then a rebuttal and.
There's all kinds of stuff about this situation.
Look, that thing is a cluster F, and we all know it.
Not talking about this.
No.
And it's only going to get worse because people are sniffing around.
People are going to keep digging.
So
Eventually, she's going to do a tell-all.
Pablo Torre. Pablo Torre. He had this, and Buck, you forwarded that to me, but I'll be honest, I did not listen.
It's long. It's not.
It's his podcast. But you're saying that So he was saying that he has investigated Jordon.
I guess he's
Hudson?
talked to 11 different people in their lives about her involvement or something like that. And he said it was made pretty clear to him on no uncertain terms that she is, because of how the higher-ups feel, has become persona non grata at UNC. And that was what led to the report. He said people aggregated it, so it sounded worse than it was, but it was just like, banned. She's been banned from the buildings. Right. And then they're like, well, no, she hasn't, but he's saying that doesn't mean they don't want her there, and they have expressed as much.
Right.
Yeah, and he said that he had filed a ton of public records requests with her name.
This is Pablo.
And North Carolina will not respond to him. And he says he claimed from the highest levels of North Carolina that they are having these discussions, that she has become a massive problem. And so they responded. This is from North Carolina.
So the story today was that North Carolina has banned her from the football facility.
That was the story this morning, and then before we even got to lunchtime, they were like, no, that's not true. That's not true.
North Carolina said, well, Jordon Hudson is not an employee. They want that known. At the University of Carolina Athletics, she is welcome to the Carolina football facilities. Really? Jordon will continue to manage all activities related to Coach Belichick's personal brand outside of his responsibilities for Carolina football and the university. Basically what they're saying is she is no longer involved in anything regarding football, because she was. Remember, that was the infamous include her on all emails sent to Bill, and she was there at practice. So clearly,
she was at practice.
She was at practice.
What the hell is she doing at practice?
Did you see her walk on the field during their scrimmage or spring game to fix something in his pocket or something like that? She is on him.
So North Carolina is claiming that this is fake news. Of course, Bill claims that it's fake news. He claimed that 60 Minutes, it was a railroad interview job, which is total horse crap. Look, this has become a problem. Bill hired a separate PR firm outside of Jordon Hudson the moment after that interview aired. His family thinks this is a problem. So this is their way. But Bill's not willing to give up the 24-year-old Skush. He's not putting on that. So basically,
she has something over him.
She's got something over him. And so North Carolina, well, I know what she's got on him too. He's like 74. He's not giving that up. That doesn't come along every day. So this is their way of being like, no, she hasn't been banned, but she's not an employee. She's not related to anything football. She's not going to be on the emails, but she's still welcome at the facilities. And my guess is Bill and her have had to have an uncomfortable conversation of just, we need to dial it back a notch or two. And eventually, if I'm projecting this out, this thing's going to blow up, and she'll eventually will write a tell-all, and it's going to get ugly for Bill. Because that was what Pablo had reported, is that members of of Bill's family thought that this could really negatively impact his legacy. And that leads me to believe that this relationship could be more problematic than anyone wants to let on.
Well, I think it's pretty obvious that it's problematic.
According to Torrey, quote, these guys are watching Jordon come in and they're eye rolling. They're nudging each other. That was the description. But they're not telling Bill. They're not telling Coach that this is a bad idea. So she comes in and out alphas everybody in the room. And that's how, in a short amount of time, in a period of months, they've watched her take power. Goes on to say that one source who worked with her on one of Belichick's shows stated that she's, quote, the worst person I've ever met, and I've worked with multiple sociopaths.
God! Who said that?
So, a source who has worked with both of them.
Was that Pablo?
Yeah. And Pablo said that obviously he said that, he's like, I stand by every one of this. And he said, this comes from the highest and the closest sources.
He's like, this is good, real reporting.
This is good, real reporting.
I love this story.
So look, the fact of the matter is, you had a guy that for 30 years was known as the most hard-nosed, no nonsense, do your job, no days off, right?
It's already been addressed.
Insta-faces, all this crap. And in the matter of a few months, dude, he has put his head squarely in between cheeks And it's so buried up in there that he can't see what a clown he looks like. I don't know how this is going to affect North Carolina as far as wins and losses, but dude, I don't remember another guy whose reputation or at least like personality has made such a hard left-hand turn. I mean, he was
It's very out of character.
It's
for him.
unbelievable.
Yeah, it really is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Which is also why I'm sticking to my guns that he dumps her. And I think it's going to be on the tarmac in Dublin next year.
Well, he better give her a big
What's the price tag on that NDA to get her to not write the book?
Millions.
Yeah.
Well, and of course now, there's all kinds of rumors about, again, how they met, and she had a previous old, millionaire boyfriend, and I just don't think you want her. If you're Bill, I don't think you can afford a rogue Jordon Hudson out there.
Well, if he cared about his career, he's 73. He's 73.
Yeah.
If he cared about his career, he would dump her.
Yes.
This is way too problematic.
Yeah.
If he does not dump her, he is either, like you said, he's either being blackmailed or he is so far in, and the power of the P will.
It's possible.
It does do this to some men.
Well,
he is so far in that he isn't even seeing what's happening, and that's even scarier.
Everyone has known the guy who gets lost in the maze, and nothing else matters.
I get that.
More great men have fallen
this way.
No,
that's very
than
true.
any other.
In a lot, that is so true. But I would say that if there's one guy in sports that we would have guessed would never fall into this trap, it's Belichick.
Yeah,
he's 73. She's 24.
Hey man, there's pills out there.
He doesn't even have
pills and lotions.
He wears cutoff sweatshirts with holes in them. He doesn't care about anything but football.
If you would have told me 2 years ago that Bill was going to be on Instagram catching his girlfriend as a mermaid, this is the same guy that said, "Your face, my face, it's the face."
I mean, again, we've seen these football guys, and they're just all about football. They don't care about anything else.
Yeah. Hey, well,
it's just so out of character.
Football kind of got taken away from him a little bit, and he needed something to fill that hole. And I think
he's filling a hole.
Well, he filled a hole.
I tell you what.
Well,
man.
I guess they're saying too, his book that he was promoting, that he was all proud of, is a total tank job too.
Tank job. What
like
does that
no
mean?
one's buying it.
Well, yes, because we talked about this while you're gone. Of course, no one's buying it because he didn't put anything that we want in it. He's an idiot. Listen, Bill Belichick, and this ties in perfectly to what we're going to talk about next, which is Draymond Green's comments today. Yeah. Bill Belichick did the exact same thing with the CBS interview. Yeah. He comes out and he says, they are painting me in a way that isn't accurate. Yeah. And it's a narrative, and the media is out to get me. And all of that is just not true. It's never true. Yeah. It's amazing to me how many successful, smart people like Bill Belichick or Draymond Green or whomever think this.
Yeah.
Belichick is absolutely out to lunch if he thinks anybody wants to read a book about about his career and how he worked his way. No, dude, we want to hear about your version of your relationship with Tom Brady. Yeah. We want to hear about your version of your relationship with Robert Kraft.
And we'd like to explain away this.
And what is this? All of it. This is what we want. And if you don't see that, you're an idiot.
And the fact that he thinks that it's not interesting, the Jordon Hudson thing.
Exactly.
Like, realize someone pointed out, this would be the equivalent if my next girlfriend was born right now. If my next future girlfriend was
how old are you?
I'm 47. Yeah. If she was being born right now today.
Well, there've been a bunch of jokes about how she wasn't even alive at a time of multiple Super Bowls that he won. I mean, it's
not even alive.
And he can't understand why people might be interested in how they met.
Dude, he is. Maybe you're right. Maybe it's just he is so freaking out to lunch. Yeah. Maybe he is just a bigger dolt than we even know, other than his football acumen.
And this is my point. Not that I've been around the NFL forever, but getting a glimpse of that, and I was around football a lot in my life for the first 25 years of it. You will meet people that are the smartest football minds you've ever been around, they have forgotten more about football than I will never know. And you get them away from football and you are shocked at how ignorant and dumb and unworldly they are, because every ounce of their being was poured into football. And I do think that, especially in like relationships, I think Bill may be one of those guys.
Well, he's got kids, right? Well, we know he has
he's
kids.
got kids.
And he's been married.
Yeah, but you wonder
And
how
he's dated for long periods of time.
You wonder how much of that, like, trust me, man, there's a lot of coaches that are married and they see their wives 7 seconds, every other Tuesday.
Well, I get it, but I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
at least he has not been single for 73 years and now is dating a 24-year-old prostitute.
Yeah.
I mean, he has lived those other elements of life.
Yeah.
No matter how little.
Sure.
Of course, we know he's probably had his head buried in football most of the time, but I mean, it blows me away that he sits down with CBS for an interview about his book, he can't figure out why they're asking him these lines of questions, and then he has the balls to come out and say, "Oh, they're just painting a narrative that isn't true." Dude, wake up!
It'd be like if I showed up with a toupee tomorrow on the show and then was like, "What are you talking about?"
Right? It's like, I just can't believe this narrative.
I'm here to talk about sports, Isaac, not my hair.
Yeah, what is this?
We're not talking about that.
No,
Why would you want to even talk about that?
Someone says my wife is pregnant with my first girl. You stay away from my daughter, Suke. No, I won't.
Ew.
I'll just sit in the shadows and wait.
The other kind of revelation from the Pablo Torre thing is that it may have been the reason she didn't want to talk about how they met is that she lied about her age then, and she was actually 19 when they met, when he was 69, and so the gap would be 50 years, and she was a technical teenager.
Dude,
optics of that not great, and so they've been avoiding the details of
I'll
that
tell
story.
You what, there is nothing that you could tell me about how they met, whether that is on a sugar daddy website or she was 19 or there's 18. She could have been 12. There's nothing about that you could tell me that I would be like, I don't believe that.
Well, I don't know about 12.
Well, yeah, I know. But my point is, you're not going to shock me with anything. You're just not.
I mean, is there really a difference between 69 and 19 and 70?
No, there's not at all, but I think the optics of her technically being a teenager, they thought were problematic.
The optics are so good now.
Yeah, well,
it's like,
worse than they even are now.
I don't know. Do you think of a 19-year-old as more 17, 18, or do you think of a 19-year-old as more early 20s? Like 20, 21?
The teen still gets you the heebie-jeebies.
Because, I mean, she was a college student either way, but just hearing 19 instead of 20 or 21.
Yeah, the moment you hear 20, like, as an old, dirty man, there's probably
That's where it flips?
People can just, well, she's 20, but when you hear the teen, you're like, I
got to wait a couple months.
Yeah, I got to wait a little bit on that one.
God.
It's all creepy.